Hello everyone, and welcome to my cozy corner of the internet. Today we are going to be taking a look at my 2026 reading journal. Before we get into the actual flip through though, I do want to give you some information about this journal in particular because I've been getting asked a lot of questions about my 2025 reading journal. This journal is A5 size. It has dot grid 120 GSM paper, and the brand is Redicy. It is available on Amazon, and I got it in a 2-pack with my 2025 journal, and it was like 15 bucks. They hold up pretty well to the amount of washi tape and stuff that I use. Let me show you a comparison with my 2025 journal. So this blue journal, obviously I have my start of journal spread set up, but I don't have anything else. So this is pretty much the starting width of the journal. This black one, this is the one that I have chunked up and been using. You can see it really wants to fall open to my year in pixels page. But yeah, I've almost like 150%ed this bad boy in terms of width, and the binding is wonderful. It holds up great. Granted, I don't take my reading journal anywhere, it just sits on my desk, but even so, it can handle being chunked up a bit. The only thing it can't handle is the markers. My markers kind of bleed or ghost a little bit through the paper. It doesn't bother me that much, but if that's something that bothers you, I don't recommend this journal. I will have some alternatives that are less than $20 in the description. And without further ado, let's just jump right on into my reading journal. So first off, we have the nameplate page. I don't label my journals. I just have a sticky note here in case I need it later. But the very first page I have, this could be a cover page or a title page if you are the type of person who does that thing. I'm not, so for me it's blank. But the first page that I actually use is my 2026 goals page. My first goal is to read one book over 1,000 pages. I had the same goal in 2025 and I was able to complete it. So by making it my goal in 2026 as well, I'm just matching last year's number. Of course, it would be great if I read 2 books over 1,000 pages, but I'm not going to hold myself to that. I would like to visit 2 new libraries that I've never visited before, as the name new would imply. I would also like to read 3 physical books per month. In 2025, my goal was 2 physical books per month, and I was able to exceed that number every month. So 3 physical books, we're just making an improvement from last year. I would like to read 4 nonfiction books. Last year, my goal was 2 nonfiction books, and I ended up reading 9. So 4 is a great goal for me. It's easily achievable, but it's also easily exceedable, which are my favorite type of goals. I would like to read 5 Outlander books, which would be finishing the series for me. This was a goal of mine in 2025 as well, and I only read 3. I started the series in 2024, and so hopefully I get to finish it in 2026. And then my final goal for this page at least is to read 6 new authors. Now this specifically means new to me, but of course it could also be debut authors because by definition they would be new to me. So that's it for the 2026 goals page. And of course, we move straight on into my classics TBR. Now, this is a continuation of one of my 2025 pages. My goal for the past 2 years has been to read as many classics as the year. So, for example, in 2025, my goal was 25 classics. So in 2026, my goal is 26 classics. I have 26 written down here. But of course, I have a bunch of extra space in case I want to read a classic that's not on this list. And of course, I don't have to read every single one of these. I can pick and choose what classics I want to read. Now, if you are not a classics reader, this is probably not a page that you're going to be including in your journal. But in 2025, so far, I have read 27 classics. I am a classics reader, so this makes sense for me, but you don't have to include it if it's not going to make sense for you. Then we have my A to Z challenge, which I've never done before, but again, I figure there's 26 letters, 2026. I like to coordinate my challenges with whatever year we're in. So I have an A to Z title challenge and an A to Z author challenge. If I don't fill in every single one of these 52 squares, I'm not too pressed about it, but I thought it would just be a fun addition to my 2026 reading journal and a challenge I've never done before. Now, moving on, we have my author exploration, and you're going to see a lot of pages of this because I'm a little bit extra and I just like to have a lot of lists in my journal. I'm just that type of person. So this is the start of what I would call my academic author exploration. We're going to have another spread of more rigorous academic works on the next page, but this is like my easily achievable academic reads. We have Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters, Charles Dickens, Ernest Hemingway, Kurt Vonnegut, James Joyce, and Mr. Steinbeck, whose first name is escaping me at the moment. Is it James? Please roast me in the comments for forgetting Mr. Steinbeck's first name. But my unwritten goal is to read at least one work from each of these authors featured here. Of course, I'm welcome to read more if I find an author that I really enjoy. For example, I love Jane Austen, and I know I love Jane Austen. The only Jane Austen work I read in 2025 was Emma, so that one is checked off. And then I have some Bronte sisters checked off. I'm currently reading A Christmas Carol because it is the Christmas season, so this will get checked off before next year. And then, of course, some works on this page would also be rereads for me. Slaughterhouse-Five, Of Mice and Men, but a lot of them would be new reads for me, and it was just a good way for me to branch out, to force myself to read some things that aren't just for fun, to read some things that are going to expand my brain. Speaking of expansion, this is sort of like my stretch goal for my academic endeavors. I'd love to get into Russian literature in 2026. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. I just feel like it's something that I'll enjoy reading. So again, my goal is to read at least one book from each of these two authors, and then I do want to read these 4 more classics of Russian literature. And of course, if I really, really enjoy it, I have a lot more room to fill out an additional TBR if it's something that I have the time for. We then move on into Shakespeare's plays, which again, I'm not trying to read every single one of these. It's just like a little menu for me to pick and choose off of. My goal for 2026 is to read 1 comedy, 1 tragedy, and 1 history, and that's it. That'll probably fulfill my Shakespeare quota for life. But the only Shakespeare play I've ever read is Romeo and Juliet, which seems like a tragedy in and of itself. I'm also not a theater kid, so I've never seen any of these on stage or anything of the sort. So really, I'm going in totally blind. The only thing, like I said, I've ever read is Romeo and Juliet and a bunch of sonnets. We did those in school. I probably won't read any sonnets in 2026, but of course, I have some blank space in case I decide to get crazy with it. So that concludes the academic author explorations, and now we move into my fun reads. Starting off strong with the man, the myth, Brandon Sanderson. In 2025, I completed the Mistborn saga. I've also read Elantris and Warbreaker. So in 2026, my goal is to read the Stormlight Archive and finish out the secret projects. That will complete the Cosmere for me. I don't really have any interest in reading his non-Cosmere novels, but if you are a Brandy Sandy fan and you think I should, please tell me in the comments, because right now I'm really only interested in the Cosmere. We have Outlander, which of course is one of my 2026 main goals, is to complete this series. We have Red Rising, which I haven't started, but it's so talked about, and this has been on my TBR for multiple years. So I figure if I write it down, I'll at least read the first one and see if I like it or not. So just like my academic reads, we have 1 easy page, and then we have the next level, okay? So Wheel of Time, I know I'm going to enjoy. I've started the first book on audio and just decided it wasn't for me. I really want to read this series in the physical format. So I have it down here just so I have the list of all the titles in order, and it'll make it really easy for me to request the next book from my library. We have George R.R. Martin, which The Song of Ice and Fire has been on my TBR for about 15 years now, and I've really been waiting for him to release books 6 and 7 of the series, but it's been well over a decade and we've had no progress from him on completing A Song of Ice and Fire. So I figure why not just start it? I keep waiting for him and he's clearly not going to deliver, so I might as well just start it. However, this is sort of like a low priority series. It's on the back burner, like in case I ever run out of books to read, here's an option. Highly unlikely when we move into Robin Hobb, the queen herself. So in 2026, I would really love to read Robin Hobb's bibliography. I started the Farseer trilogy back in early 2025, so I don't have it crossed off here because I would like to reread it when I am prepared to complete her bibliography, because Robin Hobb has a little Cosmere of her own, and these series sort of interconnect a little bit, and I would like to have all this information fresh in my mind when I move on into the other series. So this series, this trilogy, will be a reread for me, and then all of the other ones I'll be going in fresh. And that concludes our author exploration. It's really not too bad. So I have a couple pages of academically rigorous reads, and then I have a couple pages of some fun fantasy reads. We then move into my books read tracker, which I have the exact same setup in my 2025 journal. This is just going to be a color-coded list by month of the books that I read and the author, and that's the only thing I track on this particular spread. I have it labeled up to 156, which is an average of 13 books per month, which is a number that's achievable for me, but of course, I have some extra blank pages just in case I read a lot more in 2026. Currently in December 2025, just for context, I am in the 170s of books read, so I will probably need this page, we're getting crazy. Because of that, I have a little note to myself that if I don't reach 240 books, which is unlikely, I want to turn this page into a money saved at the library tracker, which is information that's easily accessible for me when I log into my library account. I'd like to have some sort of visual representation, probably some sort of graph. If you know me, you know I love my graphs. Maybe a line graph, maybe a bar graph of the money I saved by supporting my local library. We have some more blank pages here, but these ones have plans. So my year-end analysis will just be some sort of visual representation of data that we're going to look at in a couple pages. I also want to turn this page into a bar graph of the number of books I read per month, comparative year over year. So I will have, like, for example, January 2026 compared to January 2025 in a multi-bar graph format. I'm sure you can envision that. And if you know me, you know I love my bar graphs. Moving on into my bookshelf page, I plan to do the exact same thing that I did in 2025, so let me show you that and explain with some visuals for you. So here is my bookshelf. The way that I set it up is each month, for example, this pink is April. Each month has a color family, and then within that color family, the dark color is physical book, the light color is audiobook, and April is a bad month to pick because I did not read any ebooks that month. But let's go to March. So the dark green color is physical book, the light color is audiobook, and this kind of lime green color is ebooks. The size of the books is how long the books are, pretty self-explanatory, and then the lines on the spine is the star rating that I gave the book. It is a lot of work to draw in all these books as I go, but I really do like it because it's both visually appealing and informative, which is my favorite type of visual to have in my reading journal. And of course, I have some doodles in there too. So that is what my bookshelf will look like all filled out. As of right now, of course, it is blank because I like to go in at the end of the month and do all of that month's books at one time. Now we have my monthly stats page. So this is all of the information that will get collated and put into my year-end analysis. But the stats that I'm going to be tracking every month is obviously the name of the month, the number of books that I read, the number of pages I read, my average pages per day, my average star rating for the month, how many physical ebook and audiobooks I read, how many books I got from the library, how many books I read on Kindle Unlimited just to see if the subscription is still worth it for me, the number of fiction books I read, and the number of nonfiction books I read, which is a skinny column because I highly doubt I will ever reach a double digit of nonfiction books in a single month. Speaking of nonfiction, I have my nonfiction tracker here. What I'd like to do is just have a list of all of the nonfiction books I read and maybe like a 1 to 2 sentence description about what topic was being discussed in the nonfiction. I tend to read a lot of memoirs and I would like to branch out and learn about some new different things this year. And then we have my Year in Pixels tracker, which again, let me show you in my 2025 journal so you can get an idea of what this will look like all filled out. So here it is for 2025. You can see I have a nice little color key up here. I just write in how many pages I read that day, and then at the end of the month, I go in with a marker and color code. So I have a pretty little Year in Pixels. I also have an average pages read per day tracker up here. So at the end of the month, again, just add up all the numbers, take an average, put it in my little average tracker, and that's pretty much it. It's really simple, but it's just a nice little visual to have in a reading journal. So I just have to pick out what markers I want for 2026 and then draw in my little color key and have my average pages per day tracker. Now we move into Buddy Reads, which this is a new spread for 2026. What I would really like to do is track all of the books that I read with my friends, which I tend to do a lot of, but I don't have a way to track them. So in this spread, what I want to do is just track what book it was, who I read it with, what they rated it, what I rated it, and maybe like a 1 to 2 sentence description of what we liked differently, if there was any discrepancy between our ratings, etc. This is another new page for 2026. It's going to be my Hall of Fame. So I just want to track all of my favorite books of the year. I say that I want to do it in a color-coded list by month. I don't know if that's true. I'll have to figure it out once I have a good number of 5-star reads in 2026. This will just help me if I decide to do a 2026 reading wrap-up like I did for 2025. I did not have a spread like this in 2025, so I had to go through every single month and pick out all of my favorite books. And that's it for the start of journal pages. This is my January cover page. I obviously have yet to write in the name of the month, but this is my reading calendar. If you've seen any of my 2025 journal videos, you'll know that this is the exact same way that I have been doing it. So this is just my reading calendar. This will be my pages read tracker, my pages read bar graph, and then of course, the start of my book reviews. This system has been working for me, so I don't want to mess with it until I can think of a way that it could possibly be better. So those are all my start of journal pages. Again, some of you might think it's excessive. This will not work for everyone, but for me, these types of goals, lists, and trackers all make sense with my current reading habits. You'll notice that even though I am tracking a lot of things in this journal, the spreads themselves are very minimalist. The only supplies that I use are a couple different pens, markers, washi tape, and a ruler. So really, it's a low barrier to entry. Anyone can do it. If you think that you will enjoy tracking your reads in a reading journal, I highly recommend it. A lot of times, especially in my book reviews, I can just kind of let all of my thoughts about the book coalesce onto a page instead of trying to make it nice and grammatical for a Goodreads review or something similar. So this is really just a good way for me to be more intentional with my reads and more reflective as well. If there's anything that you think I should be tracking that I am not currently tracking, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If I inspired you to start a reading journal, that would be amazing. And again, I'm going to have some journal options linked in the description. They're not going to be affiliate links or anything like that. Just I know there's a lot of options out there, and I'll link you to some of my favorites in case you're feeling a little bit lost. So if you liked this video, make sure that you follow along so you can see more videos of how I use this journal throughout 2026. That's all for now, but thank you so much for watching. Bye!